Hi, hello, g'day, kia ora, welcome to the studio. I'm Paula from MoxyMojo. It is an absolute pleasure to be back with you for Dephemerember for another year. So this year it is the SnacksnStash Dephemerember for 2025. If you've been following along and you've checked out any of Barbara and Louisa, our hosts' videos, you will have seen that there's going to be a bit of a change to the format, and the focus is on components. So the format that I'm going to share with you is something that I implement in terms of my own crafting. I need to break things down into like chunks of what I do. I'm calling it my builder base. There's 3 layers to this. We've got our first layer, which is your builder base, where you create the base layer, and that is essentially a lot of your mass making type thing. The second layer is what I'm calling creator space. So this is where we alter the layers from how they look if needs be. The third step in the process is dress the face, and that is adding that focal image that essentially takes your blank base and really tailors it to whatever it is you're putting it in. So we've got our builder base, create a space, dress the face. And the best thing is it allows you to break it down by those 3 steps based upon what time you have available. So this first prompt is going to be our first example of those 3 steps. I was very lucky to receive some snacks from my partner Robyn, so I'm going to spread those out throughout the month. And starting off, we have got a little wee shortbread gingerbread man, which I thought was just so cute, and I thought he'd be perfect to start off our Dephemerember prompt responses. So I'll just pull him out so you can see him better. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? So I'm guessing he's shortbread. Let's just try break off an arm. Yep. Well, yeah, shortbready, biscuity, Christmas biscuit type thing. So we'll put that to one side, and I'll have that throughout today's crafting. Along with that, seeing as I've got a snack, I thought I would have one of the teas that Tanja, my other scrappy sister, sent me. So this is a Stash decaf chai spice, and I've just added in a naturals sweetener, and I've turned it into an iced tea because December is of course the start of summer here in New Zealand. We want to cool down our drinks rather than have hot ones. So this is my first time trying A, a Stash tea, and B, a decaf chai spice. So cheers, Tanja. Thank you very much. Oh, that is nice. Apart from the fact that it's just leaked, and that's my container, rather than anything else. Anyway, so now I have a tea packet for my stash. Once the tea bags have dried out, then I'll have that along with the tag as well, which I can add to my stash. Today is page tab and Moth-Eaten lace. But let's jump into it. I mean, I don't use a lot of page tabs in my creating. I don't know why, I just don't. One of the reasons I don't like them is because I don't like their permanency on the page. What happens if I don't want my page tab there? What if I want it down the bottom of the page or 2 pages later? So I've come up with a way to solve that problem using these hidden paper clips. So now these are some that I've got that have dried, but I'm going to show you how to make them. I'm using really big paper clips, but you can use whatever size you've got. Though I probably wouldn't do those really mini ones. I think they're going to be just a little bit too small. But certainly your ordinary office ones you can use. And then these large oversized ones as well. So these ones are, I'm guesstimating about 1.25 inches or about 33 mils. And these ones, the larger ones which I'm using for today's example, are 2 inches or 5 centimeters. So yeah, use whatever you want. I'm using these plastic ones because that's what I was able to find at the time. And partly that's why I've gone to this covered paper clip, is because I want to get rid of the ugly plastic cover. I did try removing it. It's far too difficult, so this was a much better option. Now, you can use any kind of paper. I really like the book pages because, let's be honest, we tend to end up with a lot of book pages. All you need is about 1 inch worth of paper. So I'm going to tear along here to remove this kind of white edge. And then we'll flip it around if I can pick the page up. And I mean, I know my ruler is about 1 inch wide, so, and that is a, you know, really good size. You can make it smaller if you want. You can make it bigger if you want. It's entirely up to you. So all I'm doing is just a totally random book page. It happens to be from a dictionary, I think. Or, no, a Pear's Cyclopedia. There we go. So, we're starting off with the book page. Now, I find this is the easiest way to do these. I mean, it doesn't really matter which way round you have your book page. All I'm going to do is take one end and feed that between the two ends. So in between the long side and the short side. Hang on, maybe I should use the purple paper clip. Then you might actually be able to see it. That's good thinking, Paula. So between the long end and the short end. Okay, so we're going to do that. We are then going to just flip it up over, going around the long end. So we're going to go around the long end first. Take it all the way up and crease the bottom. I find it's easiest to turn it around. We're going to flip it over. So we're now creasing over the top. And then you can see where the bottom is. So long as we cover that, then we are good. But what you want to do is, I find it's easiest to like fold it back just below where that short part of the paper clip is. So there's the short part of the paper clip, and I've just got it folded. So I'm going to trim it across there. And all you need is just scissors, and so long as you trim it slightly less than the top of the paper clip, you'll be fine. So we've got slide in between the long and the short, go around the long and crease over the top and crease, then work out what you need for the short side, and then this is probably the trickiest part, we're going to slide that in between, and I find it's easier just to pull down on both sides. And because you've folded that to get the right height, it will pretty much fold at where it needs to be. So now you can see we've got the long side in there and the short side on the other side. So all we're going to do now, and this is where one of your thin-nosed glue bottles helps, is we are going to gently, and you don't need too much, is just glue in between. Now you don't need to go too close to the paper clip, but I would go reasonably close, because if you want to trim any of the excess paper off, then you need to make sure that you've glued around that paper clip. I don't worry about gluing in between, so long as I glue on either side, and then all I'm doing is check to make sure that you can see the paper clip, and that way you know you're gluing in the right place. And then just push that together. Then you can put that to one side to dry. So I would recommend leaving these aside to dry for a couple of hours. I've made up a big bag of these of various different sizes. I sat down one night in front of the TV, tore up a whole lot of book pages, wrapped up a whole lot of paper clips, and then went through and glued them all. So that to me is like mass making production style. But now I've got a whole lot of paper clips all wrapped and ready to be used as hidden paper clips. So we'll put those aside to dry and pick up one that I've had from earlier on. And so this one has already dried. So that is your first step in building a base, your hidden paper clip. The second step is our creating a space. We're going to alter this. Right, so you can trim it down if you want. I'm just going to trim this one slightly. I don't think it needs too much. A little bit is not glued, but that's okay. And that one there, I don't need too much off it. I'm just going to do a little touch up on this one. There. What I want to do now is I'm going to use some paper that Tanja sent me as part of my swap. So I'm going to put that to one side. So I've just pulled out some of the bits of paper that she sent me. Okay, we don't need book page. We've already got that. But I love this ink staining, so I might just kind of tear off some of that. And we've got some stenciling here. But then I definitely want to use some of the matte pages. And I love that stamping there. So if we got that, I think maybe that sort of dark, oh, maybe that thin bit. Let's use that. Use this as a base, almost to put like a cluster on top. So I want that. I think I want like just a little, let's do a little tier of this. What way? Let's go this way, I think. And I can decorate both sides. So I'm going to, I want one bit there. Oops, it should go that way. I need to have my music up the right way. And I can glue this so that it extends beyond it, hiding the hidden paper clip. So we've got that there. Then how about we do another bit for what on the other side, and that one just needs to be a wee bit longer to say there. And then what do we want? Let's say we put a strip of these numbers. And we've got 2 and 3, so we've got a long and that. So I'm going to do kind of similar things on either side. And just like a patch of this. Alright, let's see what we can do with this. So we want to, and I'm going to glue this which way around. So I think I want that there. That's our short side. I think I want it that way. Although that one looks, that one looks too even. So it's just, there we go. Pull that off. So I don't mind that that one's shorter. Right, so let's just glue, shall we? So all I'm doing now in this stage is I'm altering the base layer that I've got here. Because of the nature of this, because this is quite lumpy bumpy, I want to adhere things on top rather than try to, for instance, stencil on it. I just think because of its, you know, construction and its build, that would make more sense. So now I'm going to glue this on top, and I'm purposely going to wrap that around. So I think now, where did it come to? Because I don't want to glue too far. But I also don't want to glue onto this paper because I want that loose. So long as I glue like from that kind of crease there down. So that's there. And there. And then we're going to wrap around there to the back. Oops, apart from we don't want that stuck together. I didn't listen to my own advice. Because we need to be able to slide that on. That's it better. Yep, that's what we want. Right, so that's there. Now we've got our numbers. I'm going to stick those purposely up a bit. So again, we are only gluing on here. And it's going up just a smidge, not a lot. Now on the back, we may not use that now after all that. On the back, I'm going to put this one up that way. And I don't mind, well, because you're not going to see what's on the back because this is going to be hidden by a page in the middle. So let's just glue along here and glue that to there. So we're just going to where that paper clip finishes. A wee bit of excess glue there. And then this one, we're going to do exactly the same. Just glue onto the paper clip. And just push that down at the top, but making sure that, and I'm pushing it down at the bottom, but making sure that we're not actually sticking it together. That's good. And then we can just tear off this little wee bit here. Made it a wee bit too long for what we want. Okay, there, and then we're just going to put that number on there as well because we can. Alright, so we've got our altered base now looking pretty good. This is where you can decide if you want to do any inking. I'm using tea dye for this, and I'm using the Distress Oxide, and I'm just wanting this, like this bottom edge, just highlighting it. And I don't mind if I get it on the back of it because that's going to be hidden by the other side of the page. And it's just because I want to give it a bit of an edge so that if we don't cover it during the focal image part, it does at least look like it's finished. Because sometimes adding that edge just makes the last little wee bit of difference. Right, so there, just a little bit of ink, that's all we needed. So I've just altered the base of this paper clip exactly the way that I did with the first one. I wrapped some coffee dyed paper around both sides, and you can still see sort of part of the book page tucking out. And then I've put a scrap of the atlas paper just over the top of that so that you can see kind of that layering effect. So the next thing we're going to do, and this is where we're going to bring in the second part of the prompt, and this is our Moth-Eaten lace. So I've got some lace that Robyn very kindly gave me. So now it's some little wee scraps here. I don't know that I want to use that, but certainly I've got a couple of bits here and even this one. But of course they are quite nice and don't look at all moth-eaten. This one might do because it is starting to fall apart. So what we might do is just kind of trim it. So what we want to do, and I want to so I might do that just, I might do this one just, how do we want to do this one? No, not going to do that one actually. I might do this though. No, that one's too heavy too big. I just want something small. So maybe this one, I think. So this is where we're wanting to turn it into a page tab. So do we, I mean, we could do that one. No, I think I want to do this one with this. So we've got our lace. Now, I do just want to colour it a little bit because it looks too nice. So we're going to use some more of our tea dye oxide, and I'm just inking this directly on here, and you can see the difference between inked and not inked very clearly. Right, so now that's the oxide, and then if I'm just gonna take this excess off the here and just give it a little bit more variation. Maybe I'll even do this. That's better. That's what we want. Put some down there. Let's really make a mess, Paula. That there. We want our spray bottle. This certainly wasn't part of the original plan, but we're going to see what happens with dunking it in bits, just in different bits. Right, there we go. Now, what I need to do now is cross my fingers that paper doesn't blow everywhere. Because I'm just going to pull out my heat tool and just give this a really quick dry. So I'll speed through this. Right, interestingly, I noticed that as it dried, it has started to curl up and almost like shrink a wee bit. So it must be like a polyester thread. It's not an actual real cotton, but that's okay. So now what we want to do is we're going to put this on here and we're going to create our tab. And we want there, and how much do we need? Don't need it all, so we probably only need like about, if I snip through here, and I probably should have trimmed it before I did it, because yeah, now we're going to have some like white ends, but we are going to fluff these a wee bit and make it look a bit more worn. Yeah, quite like that. There we go, worn look. And then we want it to look moth-eaten, so we're going to snip some of these holes and make it look, you know, older. I don't know, because I don't know what moths do, how they eat something. Well, I know they eat it because, you know, it's food, but I don't know what it looks like. Why wouldn't it look like big fluffy holes in there? Make it look a bit more distressed. What else can we do? How can we make it look more distressed? Where? Ah, there we go. So all I'm doing is like rubbing my scissors along there. And kind of taking off some of the surface. Much as you would, you know, distress the edge of paper. And then pull it apart a bit. Pull those ends. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Let's get destructive. Alright, so now we've got some bits of fluff. We can always add them in. Excuse me. Right, so that looks a bit more moth-eaten, I think. So now, what we want to do is, I want this to extend out. So that's the end of our paper clip, and that is, if I grab this again, this is our little tag, this is the end of the page, and if I push this in, then normally it sits just beyond the page, but I want it to stick out more. So if I loop my lace so that it extends out, that's going to create my page tab. And what I might do is, so I have the lace kind of lopsided, so just a little bit there and a bit more on the front here, and she's looking good. I like it. Alright, so pull that off, put that out of the way. So I've got my bend there. So now I want this about there. So I'm going to add here. Which way? I think I might add here, this end first, this side first. So there's our bend. So we're going to glue from about, if I start there, and I'm just putting some glue very roughly over the lace. I might need to add some more. I don't want it to extend too far, but there. So now we need to push that down really hard to get it to adhere in place. Alright, so we've got that in there. We've got some extra threads there if we want them. So now what I'm going to do, and I mean depending on how holey your lace is, will depend on how easy and how much glue you need to put on. But I'm just going to put a little bit in there because I want to glue this together. You could leave it as a loose loop, but I'm wanting to have it glued together. So I've glued that together, and then I've got my end here, which I'm going to bend back slightly, and I can now glue this bit onto the other side of the tab. Now, even if the glue doesn't hold together for the tab bit, it will at least stiffen the lace a little bit. And that will be of benefit to us. Right, so that's in there. We're not going to use those bits after all. We'll put our pin in there. And there's our tab with our Moth-Eaten lace. So that's one side and then the other. So now what we need is, of course, our moth. Now, I went through my little wee container, and it's quite a big container, really, of butterflies. And out of that whole container, this is all the moths I could find. So, not a huge selection, and in fact those ones are all the same and those ones are the same, so we've basically got a choice of two, because I think those are probably butterflies. So nice try, guys. So we've got a choice of A or B. Now, because of our tea dye colouring, I quite like this one here. So I'm just going to give him, you know, a bit more oomph on the page and hide, because I fussy cut these, and these were in a pack of fussy cuts, and they were they're all like double-sided. Scrap Boys, is it? I think it was a book of, you know, fussy cutting, and I bought them, and because I thought the idea was really cool, because now I've got essentially the same image lined up on the back, and I don't have to worry about a white back on my image. So I can have this sticking off the side of the page and know that, you know, there's a design there, and I don't need to worry about, you know, reversing images and printing out double of everything, because it's already done. So now I could, for instance, put this so that its wing hangs off the page. So if we go like this, and maybe if I do it like this, so we've got our paper clip all the way to the edge. This can now pop on here, and if I flip it over, you can see that the wing is coloured. So I quite like the idea of that, and maybe we'll even put a second one down there. I quite like, I mean, normally I'd want to do 3, but because it's just like a paper clip, I don't want to overload it. So now we'll remove that out, even though I'm going to grab it in a minute. So I want one down there and one up there. I think that looks quite cool. So we're just going to glue like the top kind of half of them, because the bottom bit is hanging off. Oh, we could have glued it a bit. I mean, you can always hang that up, glue that on if you want. Yeah, let's do that. Just do that, and then this one we're going to do kind of there. Oops, missed your butt. Sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Moth. And there. I was contemplating adding an eyelet, so let's have a look at what we've got. I've just pulled out some kind of in the colour range that we wanted, or we've got, and we could put one, I think on the bottom would make more sense. Oh, that one looks quite nice. Then I've just grabbed 3 charms. So somehow it's kind of ironic that we've got a butterfly, but maybe we'll have the leaf instead, or a mushroom. We have our crocodile, and we want our big hole. We are going to just go eyeballing it down the bottom of the, wow, look at that. I think that is because of that glue we added. It's firmed up the lace. So now we're going to put that in, and hopefully that back is going to be big enough. Always check which way. So we're going to go this way, there, and squish. Yep, hopefully. Yep, that looks pretty good. Nice. Now we've got our bowl pin. We're going to put that through. We will add our charm. So which one do we want? Mushroom. Might be too big. Butterfly. Leaf. Let's go for the butterfly. Why not? Tuck that in. And there. Okay, so adding on to our fake page. So we will just slide our page tab on, and there you can see it hangs out enough that your charm is not going to bite into your pages. Whoops, falling off. But you can now move it and put it anywhere on the page that you like, or any page that you like. Our 3 stages of the tag. So we've got our build a base, create a space, and then dress the face. Hopefully that has given you some ideas for making a page tab in 3 different steps. I love the fact that you can break it down, do 1 step one night, or, you know, maybe you're sitting outside the school waiting for your kids to come out or your grandkids to come out. Then, I mean, folding up the paper, you tear your strips before you go, take your paper and your paper clips with you, do all the wrapping while you're sitting in the car. You don't even need to take the glue with you. You can do that when you get back home. Scraps. Every time you've got some scraps left over, you can grab your pile of paper clips and add some scraps to them to alter the base and get it ready for the next stage. And then when you are ready to add the paper clip or turn it into a page tab, grab a handful of altered paper clips and decorate to suit your journal. So I mean, you can leave it as an altered paper clip, but I like the idea of giving them more of a function than just a paper clip and you hang a journal card underneath there. So for instance, we could put something under there as well as the charm. So I mean, it's got that multi-use sort of concept as well. So anyway, that is today's make. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the 3 steps is a concept that you know, might think about. Take away and think about it and come back and let me know if you think it's a good idea or not, or good names. Should I change it? I'll be interested to hear any feedback. So thank you for joining me. I've had a lot of fun with this. I want to sit down and create some more. The only thing I do need to show you is how am I going to store it now. But what I'm probably going to do is, for the time being, like, leave them like this. But this is my storage container, or it's the largest one I've got out of the ones that I've been making for Dephemerember. I do have a smaller one, but it's taller, and I don't think it's like the best idea. Don't think it's the best option for putting these in. So what I will do is, like, put these into here. To be honest, I would probably, I mean, I've got my bag for these ones. I've just got a plastic bag which I keep with all my paper clips, so that if I'm looking for a paper clip, I know that's where they are. I will probably have, you know, like one little wee container with these altered paper clips, and then I'll have a separate area for all of these dressed paper clips that are ready to go. So this one's ready to go in a journal. This one still needs some work. So I think they need to be stored separately. What's your ideas? Okay, but for now, thank you for joining me for this prompt response. As I said, I had a lot of fun. I hope I've given you some ideas, but I will see you back in the studio. And bye for now.